What is up, Overwatch community? My name is Trips. Welcome to another episode of Watchpoint, the show where we talk about everything Overwatch related. Today on the show, we have another guest, MKL, as well as obviously returning hosts. We're going to be talking about things like the tournaments that are coming up post-launch, the new rumored hero, and some information on when launch actually happens. But welcome back to the show once again, Yiska.
Hey.
Welcome back, Volcha, our lovely editor.
Hello.
And how's it going, MKL?
Hey.
So, Yiska has connections with MKL. This is how we got someone of this level onto our show. So if Yiska, you want to talk to MKL, ask him a few questions, see what's going on with him, let's learn about him.
Yeah. I guess as a brief introduction, like I know MKL basically because I know Shadez. I guess we can talk about this later, but I would say his star player. And it's like I asked Shadez if he wanted to come on. He was a wussy. He was like, okay, I got our coach manager for you, who is like able to talk to you. And I guess it was also a problem with his sleeping schedule. Fair enough. But yeah, I'm going to meet you in Krefeld though. Like Shadez, watch out. And no, but basically he's the coach slash manager for Gringos. He snuck an eggplant, and if you don't know what that means, you will never, because you're the pleb you deserve to be. Yeah, and basically, yeah, he competed since Beta Phase 1, I guess, and now, yeah, basically is just the coach or just the coach. Did you love, like, yeah, it's over. Like, basically, your career is now ready to retire. Get the big checks now, but welcome. And I guess my first question would be how you met the guys from Gringos, because, like, to my knowledge, they are all Swedish and you aren't. So how does that come together?
Well, back in early Phase 2, after we remade some part of the roster, and we got Sebusai and Rib. And after that team disbanded, I still had like some contact with Rib, and when we discussed team stuff and like meta stuff, etc. And then he just wanted me to, one night we just, Gringos needed 2 mercs. And so he asked me as I'm a support main, and then I kind of started merking more and more. And then when the ranked play came out, I started playing a lot of ranked play. And then like it progressed into Safa, or the NCA is called back then. And he asked me like, can you take a look at, like they knew they had some big issues. And they asked me, can you take a look at a couple scrims, tell us what's going wrong, because they knew I had this long experience, like playing for a lot longer than they had. And so I said yes, and then I like really enjoyed sitting back, doing nothing. And then like I've always like really enjoyed being like the analytic mind, like more thinking and then more than just pure skill. And then I kind of like asked them if they would want me to do it like as more permanent, if that's what I should say, like a permanent position as a coach.
Yeah.
Because there isn't really that many Overwatch teams. There's only really me and Rufflegator right now that's doing coaching.
Oh, really?
Sure, yeah.
Rafflegator?
Yeah, he coaches Rogue.
Rogue, yeah.
The old
IDDQ. Yeah. And he was the coach for IDDQ for a while, was he?
Yeah, he went with Tweak and Mendo when they left.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I knew of him from streaming, but I didn't know he was a coach.
Yeah. Another wasted talent, you could say. Well, how do you guys actually communicate? Because I have no idea how similar the languages are, but there's obviously some distance between the languages. So, do you speak Swedish? Or
I understand Swedish perfectly, but I don't understand Norwegian. So, like, if I'm ever in TeamSpeak, I have to speak English, and they speak Swedish.
Okay.
So there is some language barrier there, but like.
Okay. Yeah. And in general, like, is it really limited? Like, do you feel if there ever has to be a roster change? Because like, in some ways, with Rib, he was on the roster, or I guess he was swept in and out with Shadez not being available for the entire time of the tournaments. That was obviously before your time, but is the team set on only having Swedish players? Is that their goal, or do you think there could be like, if real life strikes and they have to replace one player, would they be able to pick anyone else.
Well, if we need to replace one, there's always like a sea of Swedish players, but like if it wasn't, I don't think the team would have. The team is mostly just based around the core group of like real life friends. So I don't even know if the team would like persist if like someone didn't want to play anymore. But like if we need to do a roster change, like there's plenty of good Swedish players out there. They're just mostly scattered around mixed teams.
The question then always is if you can bind them in a way, because obviously, yeah, like the best players, or I guess the highest skill players, like with Mendo, Tvek, those are pretty much as good as it gets in Europe. The question is if you can bind them, because obviously, like Mendo has received counsel from pretty popular people in esports. Like it seems like if he gets his shit together, his way is kind of set. You know, do you think you feel confident? Like, have you talked to sponsors that you can possibly, bind these talents? Also, obviously, like, let's say someone explodes on your team. Do you have the resources to keep him? Or, like, is there a possibility for Gringos, ending up as a sort of a feeder team?
I actually could never see that really happening with how the roster is right now. I know the roster had some struggles early on where they didn't feel like they played at the level they should be playing, and then like people, because there was this upcoming super Swedish team called or Impulse, I believe. And then some players were in contact there, but then they decided to stick it through and try and, because all of the players they know each other in real life. They've been playing CS:GO for many years, so it's not like it's just a Swedish lineup. It's like a lineup of like real friends and one Norwegian monkey.
Would you be able to stand in, like, skill-wise for them?
I've stood in tournament play and scrim play before.
Did you hold up?
No comment.
Yeah.
In my defense, I haven't played the game. I just watch scrims.
Okay. The problem I found when doing research for you guys is that, okay, fair enough. Like, the problem is right now in Overwatch tournaments, it feels like the tournament structure is always stacked against the outsiders, in the sense that you want to put the absolute favorites on the opposite sides of the bracket. So then you can only watch the good teams play. And Gringos, like all the Gringos VODs or the streams are basically against top teams, right? So it's like I'm watching these
Reunited.
Reunited, Luminosity. That's like basically the only VODs you can find of your team. And I think the strength really is, if you look at the results, is okay. There's some variations there, but most of the time you beat the teams below you in the top 10, or below you outside of the top 10. You're sort of like the gatekeeper, as I told you before, and then occasionally you punch up, as in you can beat Melty in a series. You can take a map of Reunited, which was quite impressive. Almost got a map of Luminosity, I think. On
we had two maps that came down to like 10-second differences in that best of 3 in the ALMR competition.
Yeah, and it was quite impressive. What would you say? What would you base these close results on? Like, because the issue really is that there's already teams with huge support behind them, right? There's like, okay, so for instance, a person like Seal, obviously, like he's easily making a living out of that. Like, how much do you think you match that practice hours?
Right now, I think we practice way less than most teams, because, well, we just don't have like the time, and like practicing. Because when we have like work, you get home at like 4 or 5, and you scrim for another 7 hours. It just burns you out so fast, and you just like your life quality just sinks down the drain. Even now with the upcoming Germany tournament, we're gonna scrim for 6 hours a day. Then we have tournament play in NA midnight. So we play around like 11 or 12 hours those 2 days.
Damn.
And that's like insane when you have like a real life besides that as well.
True. Yeah, it's kind of a like a blessing then that the game comes out so late before the tournament. So it's not like, these full-timers can really, catch up. Then again, okay, we guess let's hone this in on the TakeTV tournament. Like looking at the lineup, let's be honest, it could have been a better set of teams, right? So like the best team, according to the Gozo Gamers rankings, is Creation.
All right, wait.
I guess
before we get into that, for people who don't know, TakeTV has a tournament on the 27th. Yep, the 27th through the 29th of May, 2016. It is hosted in Germany, and they have invited, I believe, 8 teams. 8 teams for a prize pool of about $5,000. I don't know how that's split exactly. I don't know if they've announced that behind the scenes or out in public, whatever. But they have casters like Jason Kaplan, Mitch Leslie, John Sargent, and it's going to be the first offline tournament, the first actual LAN that we have for the game. And that's what Yiska was getting into, because obviously Gringos is invited. I just wanted to, for people who don't know, but you may continue.
Yeah, good information. That's true. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Okay, so 4th best team is there. 6th best team is there with what's her name again?
Rogue.
Rogue, yeah, true. Like obviously that's a team where you think, okay, are they actually on the correct spot there? Have they peaked, so to speak, or have they, had the correct representation for their skill? I think if I look at the brackets they played recently, they were quite unfortunate in meeting Reunited quite often. I could be mistaken here, but yeah, I guess they are quite a strong contender. Then it's the Experiment, I guess, the next in line, and then it's you guys, I think, right? In the
based on rankings.
Yeah,
it's Creation, then it's Rogue, Melty, Experiment.
Melty, true. Actually, Melty would be above them, right? Wouldn't they?
Yeah, in rankings.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Melty is a special case right now, and I guess that you guys have actually beaten Melty. So, like if we go by rankings, you're in the middle of the pack. I guess it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Have you? What's your goal basically for that tournament? How high do you want to go, or do you think is realistic for you? Also, with your people also still having to work and everything.
Keeping in mind that if you ain't first, you're last. Of course.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, we have 2 teams that already paid salaries with Rogue and Creation. Yeah. And Creation they've been in the scene like forever. All their players have played in almost every single tournament. So, of course, I believe 100% that we can win the tournament. But it's 2 days of practice. Like, at that point, it's basically RNG who wins. Who gets the best teams to practice against? Who gets the best practice in?
Yeah.
Because 2 days is not enough time to practice for a LAN. That's just how it is.
I guess the more straightforward question is: do you think that you're going to place, like first, second, third? Do you feel like your team is strong enough to place against the competition?
Third is like, I'm pretty sure third is like 100, at least 80% for us. If you play as we've played before, a third against these teams shouldn't be a problem.
That's good.
Also one thing is that Melty, even though they've had some lackluster results recently, they've been putting in a lot of hours. They're also one of the teams that get paid, so like they have a lot of hours to put in, and they have some very talented people. They got Flippy, who's basically known as the best sniper from TF2, and he's just crazily talented. So like if they just stop doing the same stuff that they've been basically fucking up within the last phase, I'm pretty sure Melty can even take the thing if they like just go back to their old form and play the aggressive style.
Yeah. To be fair, with Melty, my understanding is that they're not just contracted to play, but also to be content creators. There's always
I'm pretty sure they're contracted under ESL, so they have some stuff they need to do there.
Yeah. And also the Melty esports organization is always like they have to put out certain amounts of videos. I don't know if they have an editor for that, but yeah, it's not just they cannot just only focus on Overwatch. Yeah, so just to do them justice and say that they're not in a position like for instance, Cloud9 would be, right? And yeah, so yeah, that's a pretty good outlook. Like, what do you think from the? Obviously, you haven't met the guys yet. There's always the question, like between LAN jitters, like online offline play, and obviously with Shades dodging this podcast, like how confident do you think the guys will be offline?
I don't think it will really bother. Like, we've never been a team that's like, oh, we need to win this tournament. We have pressure. Like, we've always been there. We play for fun. We play for fun, and we just like wherever the road takes us, we go. So like a bad result would never like make us stop playing. Like we had some in the Alienware tournament, we had some insanely close games against LG. If we just didn't do those like really stupid mistakes, we would have won the game super easily. But it didn't like. It was okay. We almost won against the top 5 team. That's good, right? And then we progressed on that.
Yeah.
So
did you play on EU or
NA? So we had 250 ping.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
At 3 a.m. in the night, so...
You also put Shades on Torbjorn, so...
Yeah. Well, Shades really likes doing the second and third point Torbjorn.
Like, Shades is like, for me, is like almost like the Swedish Seagull, where he's like a talented FPS player, but he has to play these bullshit picks, almost. Like, I'm almost half convinced that Too Easy is currently picking Hanzo because he got fucked by Shades so often with his Hanzo. Like, in that... last game against Reunited, I saw Shades had some pretty crazy Hanzo ults on Dorado. It was, and I don't know, like it was quite impressive. And he has obviously a pretty awesome Hanzo movie out. I guess people could Google for that. It was actually quite impressive. One of the better Hanzo plays I've seen. Would you like? I hinted to this, but would you ascribe to? Like, okay, currently you just said that Shades is sort of like playing more of the flex pick. Would you say that he's like, okay, without favoritism, but I'm just going to put it this way, is he like the most talented FPS player on your roster?
The most talented, I would probably say Lidda is, because he just has that insane track record, and like when he plays well, it doesn't matter how bad the others play. We would just win because he's like, when he plays well, he's probably one of the best snipers in the world. Like, you just can't even out aim him because he's just a machine at that point, and you just win the game.
True, yeah.
But Shade is always like super consistent. Like, he'll never have a horrible game. He will sometimes switch to like really stupid stuff like Genji, where it's a horrible pick, or Torbjorn, which is like absolutely the worst pick you can do. But he'll still do really good. He can he'll play Torbjorn and still do the same job a Reaper would do in that position, just because he's like super consistent, and he's the most flexible player on the team. Like, he will always like play the Pharah, the Genji, the Torbjorn, whatever. Because we have like Lidda will mostly like play Soldier or Widow, and Yuri will play McCree. He's McCree bot, so, and then we have Shades basically filling the gap.
I lost my train of thought. Now, do you got something, Walter?
Yeah, I was going to ask what you guys have been doing over the break to prepare for the LAN. I know it's kind of limited, but there's got to be something that you've been working on.
Well, I've been fixing tickets for Germany, but I've been planning some stuff and getting scrims ready and all that. Like, as we said, we play the game for fun, so we aren't like, oh, we need to get at least 10 hours a day of Quake to keep our aim up. We're playing Rust and WoW. Because we play the game for fun. We don't want to burn us out on FPSs. We're of course taking it seriously, even though it doesn't seem like this. But
without taking too much, into what you guys do behind the scenes, how much do you do behind the scenes as far as like planning or anything like playbooks, as far as different setups or things like that, or like learning the maps, anything like that, or how much of is it just playing the game and being able to adapt to the situation at hand?
Well, when it comes to like looking at other teams' VODs and like making those like basically strategies in Word and stuff, that's all comes down to me. Like, I won't like watch every single stream they play, because we don't always play the best teams. We don't always play the best we do. So I'll take those time to look up a Reunited scrim, or I mean a Reunited VOD or a Cloud9 VOD and see what they're doing, and see why they're playing, because Cloud9 sometimes has the most clownish picks. They still dominate.
Yep.
And I don't know how they do it, but they just have basically 3 of the most talented players in the game right now.
Yeah.
True. I feel like every top teams is currently, like, for instance, for United, you have like 4 players that play basically every time the same thing, like meta picks. And then there's like Too Easy, who's like super emotional and just picks based on what he likes on any given day. And on any given day, he can be a crazy Widow or just, honestly, completely shit the bed with Pharah, which they thankfully got him off of, and Unfixed is playing this now, but Jesus Christ. So sometimes the beta phase 1 was basically like hit Tailspin really tore him a new one in some of these games. But do you think at this stage of the game, innovating is still one of the dominant qualities? Like innovating picks, comps, and that's basically
on Payload, of course, there's possibilities for bringing out new compositions on Payload and 2CP, but like on the King of the Hill or the control maps, like the meta is so stale, and there's nothing you can really do to play around it because of how fast-paced the games on King of the Hill is. So there, the meta will most likely always be really stale, depending on, well, it will change up with new heroes, but like in a certain meta game, it won't really change much. But I can definitely see this is super obvious, but we run a lot of Hanzo, which some teams don't think Hanzo is a horrible pick in competitive play. But like if you run this all together with the Zarya, for example, it's even more effective than Pharah. Like you wipe their team so fast. Yeah. And then just like having a player like Shadez on it who just gets headshot after headshot, and they're just like, oh, there's no one left on their team because Shadez killed everyone. Like in even a situation where Widow can't do it because Widow is like so limited in mobility.
Yeah. Vulture is having a little, jump of his heart. He's like, yeah,
I want to see this. I want to see this.
If you're a Hanzo man, you're talking to the right team.
Awesome. For me, Hanzo is like kind of not very good at long range. I try to use him short range. Does he typically use him kind of at a shorter range? I find you can't get picks at long range. You're better off just with Widow.
Well, he's really versatile because he can play as a sniper. If you know, like the arch of the arrows, etc., you could. He's really good at outsniping Widows because he just has the built-in wall hacks. So if you know where the Widow is, you'll always win the duel. But his scatter out, like if you shoot the ground right before Reinhardt, he'll one-shot Reinhardt. So he's like really versatile in that. It's like he's the one that he does everything, but he doesn't do anything perfectly.
Yeah. Because
like even his kit is just so inconsistent. Like you can never guarantee an arrow that hits 100%.
That's true. It's also the longer the range is and the focus is on him, it's actually pretty easy to dodge, sort of. Like the project has so long, and also to exploit. Like for I don't know, like having the Reinhardt absorb some damage for the Mercy, or even the Zap, loading up Zarya. Yeah. Do you think that's important then to like focus on these spam points and really know where the headshot hitboxes are when they come around the corner, and is that even possible with how different the hitboxes are?
Well, talking about how he's like good at really everything, he's really good at spamming shield as well. Because if you just throw out 120 damage arrows like every second, the Reinhardt shield will die really fast. So he's good at that as well. And also scatter, like if you hit with 5 scatter arrows, like the shield is like basically half already.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on before we get into like just rambling about different heroes. Some of the other topics that we have going on would be the Overwatch Allstars Meet the Players, and I believe it's actually, I want to say it's hosted at the Oval Space in East London, but I'm trying to figure out if this is, it is a Blizzard sanctioned, but I wonder if it will be Blizzard hosted, like if they're going to have their own hosts and everything like that. Some of these entertainers and athletes, I honestly can't tell you who they are. It seems like a lot of Europeans. And that, that's my fault for being a lousy American. But some of the stuff. It will be team sports versus team entertainers. So it looks like you have a couple of soccer or football players as well as a few content creators. With this Joshua Temple, looks like he's either a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer. Do you guys know much about these people? Are any of these people super familiar to you?
The thing you have to realize is that these launch events are different for every basically language community in Europe. So we have one for Germany, and I know the people participate in Germany. Like the football players is Dante, who used to play for Bayern. I think he was even part of the squad that won the Champions League. He was part of the Brazilian squad that got 7-1. So he's a pretty popular footballer, right? He was like a top world class player like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And for the YouTubers, it's also among the highest subscribed German YouTubers. Like this the Floyd guy is very popular in Germany. Even had an interview with our chancellor. So the lineup they got for the German version of that is actually pretty awesome. You have to say, pretty good promotion for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be cool. I think it's a nice promotion. It's just, I don't know who these people are. That's my only issue with it. I mean, to be serious. But at the same time, it's kind of, I don't know how much footballers, I mean, YouTubers obviously are going to be into the game, but I don't know how much of the athletes are doing it just because, or if they're actually gamers. But it spreads some, mainstream publicity to the game, so which is always good. I mean, this game itself, it's already surprising people with how much it's blowing up. But even like the other day, I was just at the gym and seeing Overwatch. The TV ads, the marketing team is just everywhere. So a little bit of publicity outside the game doesn't hurt. I just hopefully, at least if it's streamed on Twitch and things like that, all the Twitch memers these aren't gamers and things like that. But haters are gonna hate.
Michael, have you seen anything in Norway as far as Overwatch advertisements go?
I didn't see much into it. I saw that the UK one had that one FIFA YouTuber and Mantrails is like a host for CSGO events. Yeah. That's pretty much the two faces I recognize. Yeah.
The thing is here, also here, because I'm like in the area where also ESL is, and they quite frequently book these services. But like even on the tram, we have like these small monitors, and they advertise Overwatch on there. So, and I saw like in Melbourne, they have like this huge painting on a wall in the middle of Melbourne. So they're going all out with this promotion here, right? Like the marketing budget is off the chain, just unreal. And it's basically they really want this IP to stick, right? So that's like the IP to introduce. And we only benefit from this, obviously.
Yeah. Without anything else to say, that was just a little spotlight. This is probably going to be one of the most important things that everyone is interested in, which is the rumors coming out of a new hero supposed to be unveiled on Monday. So in 3 days, named Sombra, which is supposed to be a support sniper. The picture's on the cast, the live cast for Twitch. But it's been basically picked apart by the community. Things like her pictures and her names in some of the maps, I believe Dorado, and in some of the posters, a couple of like open files on tables. People have picked apart even the GameSpot Overwatch videos, the making of the Fall of Titan, the 3-part videos, where just play testers are playing the game and they're just doing, scenic videos of the rooms that they're playing in, and people are taking screenshots and zooming into the computer screens that these people are on and putting all this stuff together. People who have way too much time on their hands, but people like us love those people because they give us all of this information. Do you guys have you seen the pictures, and do you have an idea of maybe an ability set or like kit that she, by the way, it's supposed to be a girl, I think, what she might have?
So far, I like the character design so far. It's very interesting looking, and I like the idea of another support. I feel like the support roster could be filled out a little bit more, and if it's a sniper support, that's really interesting. Maybe they snipe the teammates to heal them, something like that. I don't know. I'd be surprised actually if we do get a new hero upon release. That'd be kind of surprising to me. I feel like maybe Blizzard is more consistent with their testing, and they'd want to, like, if they had a new character, they'd want to have it tested well in the beta, and then upon release have everything good. I think it might be a little bit, I guess, wishful thinking, hoping for a new character. That's my take on it right now.
That's true. It's just Blizzard, I know, with Hearthstone, and even though it was around BlizzCon, with Hearthstone and with the 3 heroes released like immediately after beta launched. I mean, they released, what was it, Genji, Mei, and I even forget who the new 3 is because Diva, there we go. But they just threw them out there and was like, here you go, guys. Obviously, it was in beta, so it's still a testing period. It's a lot different than throwing it out before launch, but Blizzard's known to do... I'm lacking the word. I'm blanking on the word, but they're just known to just throw things out there, like with Hearthstone expansions. They're like, "Here's the new expansion. You can get it tomorrow," and people just go nuts, and it just hypes up the game more. It's kind of different with a character that's going to throw around the meta a bit if she's good or if she's. I mean, if she's shit, it's not going to affect the meta, but if she's good, it will. Especially 3 days before the first LAN.
I think if they were to release her, 3 days before the first LAN, that's nuts. If they do release her, I think they might release her with another character that might be designed to hold her in check, maybe. Not like a hard counter, of course, but...
That's still going to shake up everything.
Yeah.
Especially 2 characters.
Well, if you think about how they released Mei and Diva and Genji, I mean, Mei was supposed to kind of like deal with Genji, and Diva, I guess, kind of did that too. That seemed to be the idea. It doesn't really work in real life in matches as much, but it seemed to be the design decision. So, I don't know. I think if they would release one character, they would make it 2 and kind of have them paired in some way through abilities. I still think it's wishful thinking, though.
Yeah.
Michael, what like as a support player, what do we need?
Well, we need more speed buffs because Lucio is busted because of just that one ability. And also, if they add 2 more heroes, like, just to put it in perspective, it took 3 months after Genji was released and after a few nerfs to the people involving the comp till we get that, like, the classic cancer comp with 1 Genji, 1 Tracer, Symmetra, and double Sens. That's after a few nerfs to the comp, and, like, the comp was never discovered, so, like, adding 2 more heroes right now. Do you have the 10K LAN in California and you have the 5K in Germany? It's gonna ruin so many tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
It's a good test for setting teams to adapt fast, but that's not how you should base tournament results.
I think what they might do is like say that they have a new character coming out and maybe do it in a month, maybe have them come out. Build hype that way. That way you get like the marketing taste of a new character for the people who are in the beta and who are watching the game to get excited to play until the next month. And then you get the nice balance, relative balance that's going on right now. So fucking everything up.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is also just, even though we're talking about release, it technically says, and I'm reading it off a NeoGAF article or post, whatever, it says unveiled Monday, so it might just be an information dump, like Vulture's saying. Like, it might just be, here's the character, she's being released in a month, or, you know, a few weeks or whatever. So
they might feature her with like another character video, like the Soldier 76 video. She's the antagonist in that video or something like that. They introduce her that way, and you get to see her abilities, you know, within that pre-rendered.
Actually, now that you say that, it makes sense, because the Dorado table with the like files and everything, it's Soldier 76 and Sombra. Yeah. So like they're both featured in the pictures and information on that table. But
you can also see like Mexican influence in it's like the Coca-Cola trailer thing, with where you saw some sneak peeks from the Soldier 76, and you saw some. Like the wall with the big health pack on Dorado, where it's like the flowery, death-based Mexican text. It's like in the Soldier one as well. But I'm pretty sure those leaks are based on the Blizzard EU tweeted a picture where like it's the 20th and it's like Paris, somewhere in America and somewhere else. I don't remember. It's like it's times for press conferences for getting it ready for release, and that's like what sparked the entire discussion. And then some Reddit post came out. He said it was like he was going to that. He confirmed that it was a press conference, and he said that he was going there.
I mean, I think just strategically, it's probably a good idea to not release it with the release because the hype is still there. You kind of want to catch these people that, have the first feeling of burnout after the game, and then no new character and new hype. Yeah. I think that's what would be a much smarter decision as far as if you want your new heroes to be this nobility factor.
Yeah, the two new character patch plus reintroducing competitive, something like that, month and a half after release, I would say.
That would be a good idea.
Okay.
On Frappuccino, please.
Oh, chat. But okay, as far as that's the release information, do you guys have any ideas or hopes for the kit? Like, as far as my opinions go, she looks very like techie. So I would love something like a scout or some type of radar that you even place down that you'd see through certain parts of the map, something remote controlled, something along that lines. I don't know how or what it would affect the game, but that would be pretty cool. As far as her support mechanics, it could be something. I mean, I don't know, because that's kind of like Soldier 76. I was gonna say like a healing gas grenade, but if enemies enter it, it's like a toxic gas, that type of deal.
What I want to see is a support character who saps up enemy ultimates. That's what I want to see.
Oh, like percentage based, like how much damage she does to them. She saps their.
Yeah, like she headshots them and takes away like 30% ultimate charge. Something like that.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like that'd be so broken, but.
Maybe. It would be a way to equalize. Right now there's kind of like ultimate rolling that kind of happens. Ultimates roll upon ultimates. Might be a way.
Holy shit!
Might be a way for a team to like kind of equalize that, maybe. And if you were rolling with the ultimates, it really wouldn't help too much to have them on your comp, I guess. I don't know. It's just a thought I had that I would like to see some play with the percent of ultimates.
Chat just freaking exploded. What's up, everybody? Okay. Continue on. Yiska, you got any ideas for what's going on with Sombra?
I think that she might be able to, like, manipulate shields in some way. I don't know how that would work. If it, she's like this, almost Omnic type of character where she maybe is able to infiltrate some sort of, the systems of the shield, and then just look at maybe something that counterplays Zarya shields, which is such a tedious game mechanic right now, right? It's either your character is strong enough to burst through this, or you feed the Zarya around a corner because you're fighting the guy that she shielded, and it's like shooting a Zarya shield always seems so I don't know, so anti-fun in a way. And I hope like maybe something like this, and like obviously that just deactivating shields would be way too strong, because that would basically negate Reinhardt. He's like gone at this point. I think that she might be doing this in the offensive department, and then I think what Michael said is actually quite accurate, that we need something that either manipulates speed for your team, or that keeps people in place so your team doesn't need speed because the opponent is not moving or something, or not moving as fast, or whatever. I don't know, but like something like this, because currently Lucio is a 100% pick basically, and if you look at how his speed boost is used in competitive, it's quite apparent why it won't go away anytime soon. Like even if comp switch, Lucio will, unless the other supports are like get borderline retarded, like Zenyatta or Mercy level pre-nerf, then we're not going to see Lucio go anytime soon, unless we get someone that does the same things for which Lucio is basically irreplaceable as well, and then does different things. So I hope that niche is filled, and obviously always welcoming new supports, because man, does support get stale at some point, right? If you're playing with friends, like you're most of the time then you're playing the only healer in pugs, and to have a healing support, another one, I wouldn't mind that, to be honest.
Yeah. I just don't want to get. I don't want to get the game clouded with healers, though. I want support to mean something different than just healer.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get another? We'll get another healing support, Michael?
Well, the game kind of has the problem that Heroes of the Storm has, that no utility support works because healing is such a big part of the game. So they kind of like dug another grave here, because you just can't make utility heroes because they either don't deal enough damage or they don't do enough healing.
Yep.
So if it's a support, it has to have some healing or some insane mobility or utility, rather.
Yeah. That's basically how Symmetra went, right? Shield was retarded. I guess then you can't keep her around. Oh, shield's nerfed. Guess she's not as good anymore. And I don't know if you guys actually saw the post on Reddit. I thought it was very well thought out that Symmetra isn't actually counted by anyone, really. She's counted by the maps most of the time. Like you can't really realistically play her in many map positions. Like what are you going to do in Hanamura, like second point? What's Symmetra going to do there? Okay, Hanamura is maybe any last stage of a map. What is Symmetra going to accomplish? Now, do we want these characters that are niche picks for certain types of the map? But she's like, I don't know, she's like viable in roughly 10% of the cases on all maps. And I don't think that's a good character design.
I think you're going to kind of encounter that with as many characters as they're coming up with right now. Some are going to end up being niche, and I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, in my opinion. It's kind of a sad thing, I'll say. I mean, there's not using a character because they suck in like 80% of a situation. That's kind of sad. I don't like seeing that.
Especially with this low of a roster, Blizzard has to stay away from that. I mean, in MOBAs, when you have 100+ characters, yeah, there's going to be 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 5 characters that you never see unless another pick activates, that actual corner, what you should do to counterpick that. But, I mean, until we get up to 30, 40 characters, we still don't need niche picks. They need to be balanced correctly eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as that goes, I hope that it's just an announcement, and I hope that we get a little bit more on who else is coming out. But the next thing that we have to talk about is launch. Launch date is actually going to be May 23rd for certain areas, the Americas, obviously. So it's 4 p.m. Blizzard time, Pacific Daylight Time, Standard Time, and 7 for Eastern. Europe is, where are you? Central European Standard Time, 1. I'm guessing that's 1 a.m., right? Yeah, 1 a.m. That's weird that they listed those in a 24-hour clock. In Asia, 7 a.m. CST. Besides that, there's not too much more information on launch. Obviously, they're giving information on how to install it on the Xbox One and PS4 if you play on those for whatever reason. And that actually sucks for me because I got the collector's edition, so I wonder how that's going to work. I'm not actually technically going to be able to play at 7 p.m. the day before because I won't have the collector's edition. Hashtag Volcha be my dad. You're going to start adopting chat.
I'll take 2 of you. Two more kids.
How do you think the servers are going to do day one launch? Because as far as beta goes, there was a little bit of lag when open beta, first got turned on, I guess I'll say. But as far as that, the servers seemed okay. I mean, there was a couple times in beta phase 2 that the servers the servers are like, dead and nobody can get on, or games will just randomly drop. But I mean, the open beta, the big 9.2 million that we had playing at one time, I didn't run into too many issues unless anybody else did.
I got some weird disconnects occasionally, but I'm actually, this is one of the few releases that I'm actually optimistic about. The last few releases of like as many games as I can remember that are multiplayer, I expected to suck. This one I'm actually expecting it to go pretty smoothly. Maybe the first hour things are hiccupy, but I think it might go pretty good. Which says a lot. I mean, I have zero faith in like launches of multiplayer games at this point.
Well, I mean, even a full launch as far as open beta is concerned, who, besides the handful of people who didn't play that, pre-ordered or had been following the scene, who didn't play during open beta? It's going to be another maybe million, and that's shooting high, another million players that didn't play in open beta.
Actually,
at least the first day, I'm saying.
I've got a few straggler friends. Most of my friends kind of jumped on the Overwatch bandwagon. I have a few more that bought late because their friends were telling them how much fun they were having. Being fanboys, I guess, and they bought late. So I'm expecting there'll be surprisingly higher numbers just from people who bought late and their friends are telling them, I was in the beta was great, you should buy this game.
Yeah. Something to kind of shout out about launch for now, as long as there is a way to gift for all the people in chat, I think we're at 54 right now subs on YouTube. If and when we hit 100 subs, I am personally giving away a copy of the game. So I don't know if any of you scrubs in chat didn't pre-order or didn't have it digitally already purchased, but I am doing that personally. That's nothing to do with the show. That's just something I'm doing to help promote us. And I think there was you were talking about a 10K tournament in California.
Yes, there's a 10K tournament in California. I don't know much about it.
You don't know?
It's an open tournament, I believe, but they have some reserved slots.
Okay. And there was also another weekly that got announced, which I'm trying to last minute check to see what it was. But as far as the subreddit goes, it was announced on the subreddit, and they had like 42 teams last time. I don't know what Gosu is doing. I think this is just a TakeTV. And I'm betting the Gosu weeklies are going to continue.
Are we talking about the Alienware Cup?
I actually don't know much about that. The $3,000 Alienware monthly melee. Oh, snap. Oh, that's actually something I want to ask you about. How do you feel between the stopwatch versus the current ranked system ordeal?
That the current ranked system is a fucking joke.
Well, how do you like the new system that like Fish 6 tried to implement, where you get like points for completing the map, and then you get extra points for finishing faster than the other team? So it's basically like, okay, you can say best of 11 points, and then you determine score based on that. Do you like that format? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but why make it more confusing when we can just run stopwatch? Like, we all try to find another way because we know Blizzard doesn't really want stopwatch, but stopwatch is the easiest to understand. Yeah. And it's the easiest way to decide who is the clearly better team.
It's the only problem I see is with Blizzard, how they want things to be seen. And if they want their game to not have stopwatch, they're going to start pressuring tournaments or start holding tournaments that aren't stopwatch and kind of pushing stopwatch rule sets to the side, which is going to suck for them. They shouldn't fight against it, but it's when someone enters the game and they're playing ranked and they play competitively and they're playing a certain mode, Blizzard more than likely is going to want them to be able to go over to Twitch or go over to whatever they invent with MLG and be able to watch the same thing that they're playing rather than jumping and being like, oh, what's this new rule set and things like that. They want it to be as much as a spectator sport as it is a obviously playable competitive game.
I want to add, they'd be wise to do that anyways to keep them as similar as possible, because there's been a history of games that kind of have a competitive scene and a casual scene that kind of go separate ways, and they both suffer in the end. So it's a wise decision for them to keep it consistent, so a casual viewer can understand what's going on in competitive. But if they want to force out what the competitive community wants, that's a problem.
I guess it's just I guess I don't see Blizzard's issue besides the whole they made the argument with, oh, if it's stopwatch and a team is really good at defending the first point, then they don't get to see the rest of the map. That was one of their arguments.
I don't buy that. I think the argument. Bullshit. I think the argument that the whole match matters more. The entirety of a match matters more with stopwatch. That's more important than the team doesn't get to see a part of the pretty pixels in the map.
It's not like saying, oh, they 2-0'd us in the best of 3, so we didn't get to see the last map. It's that kind of the same thing. The better team won, just, deal with it.
Do you have any insight as far as your opinion besides just saying stopwatch should be the only thing and that's it? Do you have any middle ground that you could, or that you've thought of or anything like that you could come to between the two rule sets? Or do you think there's no way to combine them?
Well, there are people who are trying. Like, I think for the new Alienware thing, CP came up with you get points based on how fast you finish the map. Like, if you're plus 5 minutes, you get 3 points. If you're plus 7, you get 2. And if you finish the map, you get 1. If you don't finish, you get 0. But then it's so confusing to tell the casual viewer instead of just saying, "Oh, I finished the map faster, so I won the game."
Yeah.
Also, if you add the middle grounds to stopwatch, it's like you have to explain stopwatch first and then the other, like the second rule. So it just gets more confusing.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing that's kind of confusing is the scenario where the team, like the first team gets a quick time, then on the second map you can mathematically not win the map anymore, and then communicating to the viewer, okay, why did they just win just now? The time wasn't just over, it was 3 minutes to go, but you need 3 minutes 50 to go there or something. And to communicate this sort of like in distances, or to visualize this, I think this is a legit problem that is hard to communicate to the viewer, but all in all, still a much lesser issue than everything else is creating by solving the problem.
But also, if it was standard, like, everyone would know it. Like, if it was the competitive rule set. Like, it even took me, like, 1 day to understand, oh, I played King of the Hill to decide the tiebreaker in competitive, so I got 5 points instead of 10 points. Like, that took me 1 day to get why I only got 5 points. Like, I don't see how stopwatch is, like, difficult if, like, it took me 10 seconds to snap on a stopwatch and I couldn't get that after 1 day. Because I had to find out myself. I didn't see it anywhere. It wasn't listed, like, easily visible. And if you have a timer, like, on the payload or in, like, the top right corner, it's impossible to miss. Like, ESL games, on the main ESL stream, they have a very good setup for, like, each individual checkpoint, where they have a separate admin tracking the time. So you get, like, the time. So they say, like, with timelet, because a big part of stopwatch is that, like, the biggest problem with the competitive rule set is that, like, even if both team doesn't finish, but I capped the second point and you only capped the first point, that's a tie in the competitive rule set, and there's nothing right with that. That's so wrong.
Yeah.
And also, like, in stopwatch, like, if I cap the second point in 5 minutes and the other team caps it in 10 minutes, I am the clear winner. There's nothing to argue. There's just no way you twist that and get, like, oh, that was a very close game. No, I was 5 minutes faster than you. You're clearly a worse team. Like, I don't see how there's any way you can turn on.
Yeah.
I like what you said, Yiska, about how it's not clear, how the problem's like kind of a clarity problem as far as time left and, like, the fastest possible time, and those two together will equal a loss kind of in the middle of nowhere. I think maybe Blizzard could work on that specifically, like, visually within a game, so you could see, I don't know, maybe there's like a bar that shows how much more time is left beyond the timer, you know what I mean? Maybe there's some visual way to attack this problem to make it stopwatch, make it not confusing to players, and just make sense, and keep it consistent. I think that's what they should work on instead of just doing what they did, I guess.
They basically just need to stop fighting the competitive scene.
Yeah, there's a reason why the competitive scene picks stuff. It's because it's competitive, and that's what competitive people want. And then, like, the public, like the people who want to play through play the game online in a competitive setting, they probably seeking the same thing. I mean, that's what I want. I don't want some weird binary thing that's either yes or no, and then we go to King of the Hill, no matter what happens. I don't want that. I want something that makes an entire match matter. I mean, that's why there's stopwatch for competitive, because it makes competitive sense. I'm kind of arguing circularly, but I guess what I'm saying is Blizzard should take the competitive cues seriously and just take it seriously. They're there for a reason.
Also, the absolute worst part about the competitive rule set is that, like, a team finishes in 4 minutes and the other team finishes barely in overtime, and then the barely team wins because they're the better King of the Hill team. So a payload map was decided on King of the Hill, which makes no sense. Which is like, I think you can see that in there's the 2 King of the Watches between Rogue and Reunited, where on Stopwatch Reunited stumped Rogue 4-0, but with the competitive rule set, Rogue got some maps because they won on King of the Hill.
Yeah, that's especially bullshit when so many maps have the attacker bias and many end, in a reasonable time frame, and it's basically always come down to King of the Hill. And I don't know, man. That's like, I think they have received sufficient feedback, and they should really be focusing all their efforts on visualizing the proven concept that has been proven for God knows how long in other games that use this game mode. And I really don't see too many other reasons. But watch out, dude. Like, I'm not even convinced we're done with game modes. Like,
yeah.
What what's going to happen with other game modes that they throw our way? I'm at this point, I'm completely convinced that they think, for instance, the hot system is a good one, where every map plays differently and the skill set is kind of divided in how different, like, maps matter a lot more towards the skill set of the respective teams. So I don't know. We're not done, man. There's going to be a lot more to complain for the competitive community, because I think most of the time you will see that you will see more refined skills the more set in stone the rule sets are for a longer period of time, especially, and for the best competitive mode. We could easily have hostage maps in CS, but that would be garbage. That, like, the skill sets would be so different, and I hope they don't dilute it too much in Overwatch. The problem is, like, you could say that at this point, like, we're close enough to the tournament organizers. We could say, okay, let's make a rule set. We're only playing A maps. Fuck CP maps. Just take them out. The problem is, like, with Blizzard, watch them introduce a ranked ladder queue that decides your qualification for BlizzCon, and now you have to play that bullshit system, right? So, like, we have to do it with Blizzard or not at all. And I think it's quite important that even though you can try with tournaments, I think you should encourage tournaments to run the favorite competitive setup of Stopwatch, and just show Blizzard that you can implement it. And I really hope TakeTV does it with great overlays and someone that keeps track of time and just really shows the concept, right? And then we can also to the viewers, because they are not convinced either, right? The plebs. Like, you see chat, and it's like, why did they win again? Like, okay. So, yeah.
It needs to become spectator friendly. I mean, I don't know. That's such a big thing, because that's why it should be. That's why CSGO is so popular, is because it's easy to figure out while watching the game. Is, I shoot a bullet and that guy dies. Like, that, it's easier for people to get into CSGO, even though technically League of Legends is probably bigger as far as their viewer base, because of whatever reason. But FPSs are easy to view because it's, I shoot you, you die, I win. But Overwatch has more complicated rule sets to that, obviously, but that's what they need to work on.
The problem with the attack defend type of game type, always going to be there for attack defend. Ideally, they would have come up with something that was more neutral, that wasn't king of the hill, you know. That would have solved this problem, I suppose.
More game types, basically.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're running out of things to talk about for this week just because it was a dry week. We're lucky we got this type of news. What do we got? We got 6 days? No, we have 5 days. 5 days, 4 days technically for some areas till launch. Hopefully everybody will get in, and now we can kind of shine the floor on anybody who would like to do shout out. MKL, you got anything that anyone can look at or keep track of? You guys have Twitter pages or anything like that you want them to follow?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at MKL_OW.
Nice.
And we do have, most of them do have Twitter pages, but they're not really active on social media. It's
Do you
me.
guys have a team page?
No, we only have individual pages.
Okay. As far as the tournament, I think it's going to be on TakeTV's Twitch channel. So you guys can watch out for Gringos. Hopefully they do very well next week. And I'm going to start with Volcha because I know, Volcha, you've been doing a little bit of streaming.
Yeah, I've been...
You want to give us...
I've been streaming and doing, like, talking over and analyzing some of my videos I took over the beta. So you can check those out on my YouTube channel or my Twitch channel. We don't have the clickies up right now on the video for the Twitch, but if you look at Twitch, our Twitch channels subscribe to, how does it work on the Twitcher? How do you be the Twitchers?
On the Twitcher?
Yeah, on the Twitcher.
It's a follow on Twitch.
Well, Watchpoint TV follows me, so you can check it out through that, or through my YouTube through that.
On the Twitch page, I have all of our links.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
you've been doing basically live streams, watching your old VODs, which is something I don't think I'm gonna do on Twitch itself. I'm gonna do individual games on my YouTube. I just haven't gotten around to do it because I've been focusing on this stuff that we got going on. This is our second week live. Still, we're still in beta. We're still, getting things going. Yiska, how you doing on anything you got going on?
I'm currently preparing, I've watched a shitload of VODs from Reunited, kind of preparing a feature article on them. Don't know when that will be ready. Even I watched some Battlefield footage. They go way back. It's a super interesting storyline with them, actually.
Yeah.
And how it now completes with the recruitment of crews. And they went through a couple of players. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. Do my best to flesh that out. And otherwise, I'm probably going to be at the TakeTV tournament as a spectator. I'm not 100% sure. You're
going to be tweeting so people can follow your Twitter?
Yeah, I could be tweeting. Maybe I might do some pictures. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not 100% if I will be able to get there. Mm-hmm. It's not too far away. It's 40 minutes from here, so pretty close. Yeah, it's more like a time question.
Yeah.
In general, yeah, I'll be happy to watch it there.
All right. So time for sellout mode for the podcast. Be prepared, chat. One thing is, if you want, on the YouTube videos, we have live feeds going on as far as games. If you want your games, not just the play of the games, guys, just a nice 15, 10-minute game. If you want your game on the show, you're more than welcome to send a video link, or the video file itself, rather, to Watchpoint TV, all one word, at gmail.com. And Vulture will be able to go through those. And if we get too many, everyone's going to start going through them. And if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we do not have a custom URL yet, so it's not it's not youtube.com/WatchpointTV. It's a bunch of jumbled letters. So you can click the link below the video on Twitch to send you to our YouTube channel. If we get 100 subs, we're going to get the custom URL, and I'm going to give away a copy of the Origin Edition. at least for PC. If somebody wants it for PS4 and Xbox One, I will figure out a way to do so. But
fuck yourself in that case.
Otherwise, follow the Twitch, all that lovely stuff, Twitter, all that, I don't need to go through the entire promotional list. You guys know where the links are. You guys know where to click. I think that about wraps us up before launch next week. I think we're going to just be talking about launch stuff, unless if Monday Sombra comes out, or if, multiple, we're going to be talking about Sombra again. Unfortunately, Twitch chat, you guys caught on a little bit too late. You guys were like in the middle of the podcast when Twitch chat exploded. So I hate to close out the night on you guys so soon, but stay tuned till next week, next Thursday. It's roughly around 7 o'clock. Obviously, like today, I think we started at like 7:30. We're still in beta, guys. We're getting things organized. We're kids in our, whatever. We make a podcast, right? We do stuff. Oh, that was horrible exiting. Anyways, we will see you guys next week. Have a good night. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Lime is the meme god. Shave Monkey 2016.
What?